Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to review the latest episode of Supergirl, which was entitled Prom Again. For some reason, they had prom night, now they're having prom again. And this is the episode before the mid-season finale, which is going to be next week. But despite that, Kara still isn't out of the Phantom Zone. They've got one more episode before the mid-season break, at which point Superman and Lois is going to come back, and they still haven't gotten Kara out of the Phantom Zone. Now, apparently, Melissa Benoist's maternity leave played a role in all this stuff that's going on, where she's in the Phantom Zone and, as opposed to shooting at all different locations and zipping around and flying around and having stunt fights and stuff, although I guess there was a little of that. But I guess a lot of this was done to accommodate her maternity leave or her return after maternity leave. I don't know, but certainly not having her in this episode, these last two episodes, may have had something to do with that. I don't know. Some people think these last two episodes have been a backdoor pilot for a sort of Smallville-esque Supergirl show with young Kara and young Alex. I don't know, because they introduced this whole character of Kenny, which makes sense if they're going to go forward and they want her to have like a boyfriend. So I don't know, that could be, but I don't know. I hope they don't do that. Even though these actresses are really good in the parts, I think that show would be dumb. Anyway, as we left our heroes at the end of last week's episode, Brainiac and Nia were captured by these goofy blue aliens that are trying to capture a Kryptonian. And of course, Kara shows up and rescues them, and Cat Grant has it all on tape via drone. So this is not good because she works for the Daily Planet and she wants to have a big story and she's going to try to expose all this stuff. And that, of course, is very bad. But with the rescue done, it's time for prom. And there was a scene between Brainy and Nia where they have a little dance before they go to the prom, to monitor the situation because they're waiting for a meteor to show up. And it was an awesome scene. It was a really well done scene. There was no kiss. I wanted them to kiss, but they don't kiss. But anyway, the actress that plays Nia looked gorgeous, just unbelievably gorgeous. So I think they're a great couple. I thought it was a good scene. But while this is going on, Cat Grant is snooping around and trying to figure out where the alien ship went or something, and she finds it and accidentally frees the aliens after Kara and Team Supergirl from the future had put them away. And of course they nab her, so it's like, smooth move, X-Lax. But that happens, and then we go back to prom where Kara and Kenny have a scene similar to this one that Brainy and Nia had, but it wasn't as good. It was kind of meh. And I don't feel the chemistry between them. And she still didn't tell him that she's going away to college. He still thinks she's going to stay around and do superhero stuff with him from their little headquarters that he made, and she still hasn't been able to tell him. But just as she's about to, the meteor shows up, and Kara flies off to stop it and basically flies into it and smashes it. And we see that, yes, it did in fact have kryptonite in it, and it gets all over her, and some of the shards go into her. And then it was Kara down. And the aliens saw all this. They come to find her, and they demand that the Kryptonian surrendered. Now, this is important because in my last review, I talked about, well, how did she get wounded by this meteor? Unless it had kryptonite in it, that wouldn't happen. She might be knocked back, but it wouldn't actually wound her. But apparently, the writers figured this out as well, and they made sure that it had kryptonite in it. So she's down for the count, at least momentarily. Alex runs to her. She gets up and she says, "Oh, I feel awful." And she's glowing with the kryptonite and stuff. And the aliens, like I said, demand her surrender, but they don't know that she's the Kryptonian for some reason. So Kenny runs over and says, I'm the Kryptonian, take me, it's me. And because they were going to shoot everybody in all the buildings around the school. So he surrenders himself as the Kryptonian, and they send a light down and zap him. And he disappears. And I thought they had disintegrated, and I thought he was gone. And I said,
"Oh my God, they killed Kenny, you bastard!"
But no, they just took him. They took him away. And like I said, they also still have Kat, so now the two of them are kidnapped. And this causes Brainy and Nia to go off to try to get Kenny because Kara can't. She's sidelined. She's still feeling woozy from the kryptonite. But she gets up and tries to go help after Alex is like trying to take the kryptonite shards out of her. And she goes to the door of the building. She opens it up and looks at the night sky and she says, oh, suddenly I feel better. I'm like, how does the night sky make a Kryptonian feel better after they've just had kryptonite removed from them? I don't know. I mean, the sun is still out. It's still there, but like if it's not on that side of the earth, how does she get? I don't know. But anyway, they have to get Kenny back. They have to deal with Cat Grant having tape of them. And so Nia is having these dreams that she doesn't really understand and trying to work things out through her dreams to figure out what to do. And she sees a tiger in the dream and she sees the letters PW on the cage, but then she ends up manifesting the tiger. The tiger like leaps out of her dreams and attacks the aliens that, you know, Kat had originally freed, who are still trying to get the Kryptonian because of course they realize it's not Kenny. And it really, really screws up the timeline. And Brainy and Nia have a conversation about what are we going to do? The timeline is screwed up irrevocably. And Nia says, no, we have a time machine. We can go back in time and fix it. Go back in time to when we first got here. And Brainiac says, no, if we land at the wrong time, even by a millisecond, it could throw it off. And she says, I know. Let's not go back quite that far. Really? Why didn't they think of that when they first concocted this time travel plan? Why didn't they just go back to the time when Kara got sucked into the Phantom Zone to begin with to keep it from happening? Because that's the whole reason for this trip, is to try to get her DNA from the meteor. Why from the meteor? I don't know. So that the Phantom guy can track her so they can find her and get like, what? Why? Anyway, what they do instead of going back to the 2 days is they go back and stop Kat from getting them on tape. And when they do this, Kara stows away on the ship. She goes back with them, which is nutty. But anyway, they end up destroying Kat's drone. And Dreamer has a conversation with Kat, who is going by CJ, by the way. And she basically says, look, you don't need to work the gossip column for Perry White. You're Cat Grant. You can do whatever you want. You don't need to be in some podunk town in the woods trying to catch a weird story. You can write real journalistic pieces. You can be journalistic pieces. You can be a big deal. And she says, oh, Cat Grant, huh? Perry always called me CJ and it stuck, but I like Cat Grant better. And she kind of goes off on her way. And I thought, wow, Dreamer is responsible for giving the world Cat Grant. That's pretty interesting. And she even designs a logo for her company, Catco, based on the purple tiger that got released from Dreamer's dream. So that's pretty cool. That's where all that came from. Interesting little Easter egg there, I guess. But then, of course, the meteor comes again, and because now they're back in time, right? And, well, no, they're back in time, then they go forward. After they do that, they go back forward in time. But to the point of the meteor, I guess. Anyway, the meteor comes again. Time travel, man. The meteor comes again, and Kara stops it a second time, but this time manages not to wound herself as badly. But then I'm thinking, how does that happen? How are they going to get her DNA? I guess it was already in the kryptonite that maybe they got before from the first time I don't know. But is that like it would have been on her hairbrush that they could have just gone to her apartment to get without traveling back in time? Like, I don't know. Maybe I missed the explanation, but I still don't know why they just didn't do that. But anyway, in the end, they get what they were looking for, and they're going to go back to the future and get Kara out of the Phantom Zone. But before that happens, there's another scene between Brainy and Nia where they tell each other they both did a great job, even though both of them each thought they did a bad job themselves. They assure each other, no, you were great, and you were also great. We were both great. And then they kiss, and there was the kiss. So I was glad to see that. I like them as a couple. I want that to continue. And that's where they end the episode. Now, as I said, next week's episode is the mid-season finale. So I'm really hoping that Kara gets out of the Phantom Zone in the beginning of the episode, first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes, so that we can see Supergirl being Supergirl for a little while as part of this season before the break. That would be really cool. But of course, we don't know. We have to wait and see. I will be back with a review of next week's episode. I'm going to get out of here for now. Until we meet again, I'm going to say, as always, peace and long life.